What we found with these silver mines is that we also now have discovered gold with the silver. The highlight of the last batch of drill holes was 88 meters of just over a gram gold equivalent. All of our top 10 holes are over 100 grade thickness meters, and we've started to actually hit some bonanza grade silver in some of the drill holes, particularly hole 1 of our 23 campaign, which hit almost 3,500 grams per ton silver over 1.5 meters. Insider ownership, it's about 12%, about 15.3 million shares. We still think that the best way for our shareholders to make money is through discovery.
All right, today we're having a discussion with Simon Dyakowski, the CEO of Aztec Minerals, a highly interesting gold and silver mineral explorer, currently worth about 25 million Canadian dollars on the stock market today. And with Aztec releasing drill results like this one just last Monday with 1 gram a ton over 88 meters, very close to the surface I should add, that might just be a very interesting speculation opportunity for you watching. Or at least that's what we'll try to figure out today. So Simon, great to have you on the show. Welcome. Perhaps we can start off with a short and sweet high-level overview from your side.
Yeah, well, thank you very much for having me on the program today. Wonderful to chat with your audience. Aztec is an exploration company. We have a North American focus, and currently that's honed in on 2 properties. The Tombstone property, which is in southeastern Arizona. That's the focus of our current drilling. And then a little bit further down the map slide, we have another property in eastern Sonora, Mexico. That is called the Cervantes project. That is also a discovery stage project focused on gold and copper. But recently we have been focusing on our Tombstone property. It's quite an interesting project. I'll just list a couple highlights of why we're in the property in the first place. Firstly, we are about 40 miles or 60 kilometers away from a world-class and famous discovery that was made in 2015 by a company called Arizona Mining. This was a CRD, or a carbonate replacement deposit discovery, made exploring underneath a past producing silver district. And this discovery, which was made in 2015, long story short, for the investors, is that it was a terrible mining market. Arizona Mining made a discovery of silver, lead, zinc in the carbonate units at depth, so this would be deeper underneath the known mineralization, and they were able to attract a strategic investment from South 32 Mining out of Australia, and subsequent investment that got them a buyout within 3 years of almost $2 billion Canadian, from initially a micro cap valuation similar to what Aztec is right now. They got purchased for $2 billion. It was a massive win for their shareholders. So we went hunting for similar projects, and we came up with Tombstone, which is just about 60 kilometers away. Same style of geology, and it's a past producing silver district in itself. And what we've been doing now over the past 5 years at Tombstone is drilling, not yet deep, because we've drilled some significant gold silver mineralization that is still yet shallow, and that is the focus of the last year's drilling, which results are being reported right now in January of 2025. Most recently we had 3 holes reported that showed wide expansion of the discovery that we've already made. The highlight of the last batch of drill holes was 88 meters of just over a gram gold equivalent, but we do expect to have additional results from some other step out targets coming out over the rest of January 2025 and into February. In particular, we have a big new target zone called the West Side area. This is also the site of some high grade silver production historically, and then we have a target that's now called the Southern Extension, which we're excited about reporting the results from as well.
All right, Simon, thank you for that great overview from a high level. I would like to dive a bit deeper into the Tombstone project. You already started hinting at it, of course. Perhaps you can take us through what have you already found there, what are we looking at mineralization-wise, and maybe also highlight what the main thesis is behind that drilling campaign that you have been doing in recent times, and we're still waiting for those assays. What is the thesis that you're testing with this drilling campaign?
Well, we're testing several different targets in this campaign, so it's quite a comprehensive campaign. And if investors look at slide 9 of our presentation, we've really just overlain our now 3 main target zones over top of the historic project geology. And a really interesting angle on this slide is that we have denoted with little mining symbols all of the small scale underground silver mines that were operational back over 120, 130, 40 years ago in the Tombstone Silver District. So to date, we've been focusing on expanding the shallow footprint of the bulk tonnage target that we now have that really sits coincident with the high-grade silver mines of the past. And what we found with these silver mines is that we also now have discovered gold with the silver, which is a significant component now with today's gold price being just under $2,700 US per ounce and silver hovering around 30. On slide 10, you can see some of the drilling that we've done to date. We call it a grade thickness map. So this is a non-43101 compliant metric, and it cannot be construed as gross metal value, but it's a helpful way of understanding the significance of drill results. And you can see where we have red and orange dots. Those would be drill holes that have returned over 50 gram meters. So that's taking the gold equivalent and multiplying by the intersection width. And it just helps to show how some of the higher grade and more wide intervals are well dispersed along the pit now. And that pit zone that's in the yellow outline is about 900 meters north to south. And now it's grown in width to over 200 meters and down to depth of around 250 meters. So we're building a significant volume of mineralization. If you flip down another slide to 11, this is a secondary aspect of the recent drilling, but this is first pass drilling. So this is not grid drilling or systematic drilling to build, ounces per se, but this is exploration drilling in the west side target area. And here we're targeting some of these historic silver mines where we do have production records, so we can see that there was very strong grades produced from these mines in the late 1800s and early 19th century or 20th century. In the around 1910, 15 was the main era of mining where we can see there was significant gold and silver production. So right now we have a number of assays pending from drill targets that we drilled in that west side area. Flipping down to 12, this is just a summary of what the drill program that just wrapped up is, how many drill holes we put in. So it was about 17 holes, 3,100 meters. We've reported now just under half of the holes, and we're seeing excellent results, expanding, both the open pit target around the contention main zone, but we're also going to be soon reporting results from the west side target area, and then finally the southern extension, which is to the south of that main cluster of drilling, where we think we can really meaningfully increase the size of the mineralized footprint. Highlighting on 13, the main Tombstone oxide target zone. This is just a view of the past producing open pit that was producing from some of the mineralized structures that were historically underground mines. So our goals here are to deepen this and to drill off to the west, find additional mineralization. We've done that in almost every drill hole. We've now drilled just under 10,000 meters of about 70 drill holes. Still haven't really hit any limits of the mineralized system, and we've started to actually hit some bonanza grade silver in some of the drill holes, particularly hole 1 of our 23 campaign, which hit almost 3,500 grams per ton silver over 1.5 meters within a wider zone of high grade silver, 7.6 meters of over 700 gram silver. So we're hopeful to continue to hit on structures like that as we continue to drill. All of our top 10 holes are over 100 grade thickness meters, so that's a key metric. 4 of them are around 200 plus. So out of our 50 holes that had been reported to date, roughly 1 in 4, 1 in 5 have hit pretty significant milestone of 100 meters grade thickness or better. Flip down to 18, maybe this will discuss a little bit of our secondary blue sky targets. So over the last 4 or 5 years, we have certainly been busy drilling on the shallow gold silver oxide footprint. But now eventually we will be drilling our underground target, and we show what can happen in Arizona if you hit on an underground target that yields silver, lead, zinc, CRD mineralization. So this is what happened to Arizona mining between 2015 and 2018, where their shareholders enjoyed a 25 times return during an otherwise lackluster metals market. Now, flipping down to 19, you can see a little bit about why we think that we have evidence of the same style of mineralization at depth underneath the pit. And you can see here, hole T8 was the only deep drill hole ever drilled at Tombstone underneath the main pit, and it hit 7.2 meters of 9.1% lead, zinc, 0.6 copper, and 32 grams of silver in sulfides at depth. So that's a style of hit that you would hope to see in a CRD system, and it's never been followed up on. So as part of our future drilling, we plan to follow up on this drilling. And if you flip down to 20, see where it says deep polymetallic CRD mineralization on the left map. The arrow there points to where that historic intersection is, and then compare it to the map on the right where we have our deep IP, or rather our deep AMT survey. You can see that there's a big anomaly that we interpret to be potential sulfides, and that's about 500 meters away. So this is a target that we think is very strong, and we believe deserves to be drill tested over the coming months. Stein, that's a very brief overview to the two target zones. So there's a shallow oxide that's growing, and then there's a deep CRD polymetallic, and I think that's where you're going to continue to see exploration over the next months.
Simon, that was a great overview, and I perhaps now we can dive into what the work is currently going on and what timelines we will be talking about. So you have currently a drilling campaign ongoing, assay spending. That's to test that near surface pit expansion or contention pit expansion thesis. When should we expect you to start drilling those deeper targets to really start chasing that large scale deposit?
Well, we think that the oxide potential is quite large now, actually, given that we have 900 meters of strike and potentially 500 meters of width. So I wouldn't dismiss that as not being large scale. We'll continue to drill the shallow because we still have not hit the limits of mineralization, and potentially in future drilling of the shallow we may be able to extend a couple of the drill holes to depth. But the focus at this point remains on the shallow gold silver system, which we think is very much undervalued in the market right now with our current valuation.
All right, and perhaps we can also talk about your joint venture, because I believe you are a 77% owner in this joint venture.
Right.
Of Tombstone.
77.7% actually.
All right. Who is the partner, and how does that partnership work?
Okay, yeah. So the partnership is a private company out of the United States, and it basically works where they have to contribute their pro rata of the costs. And they were actually 25, and now they're 22. So there's a dilution clause there if they don't keep up with the spending.
Great. Thank you for that overview. I think we have a great overview of Tombstone. What is the longer term trajectory we should expect with Aztec Minerals on this project? Are you looking to develop this yourself at some point, or are you looking to make an exit at some point?
The only trajectory that I can really talk about right now is that we are expecting to continue to grow this potential deposit, and expect drill results in the first quarter, certainly of this year, of 2025, and then potentially subject to the results and market conditions, we will continue to drill to expand this to a resource. As far as future partnerships, there's nothing planned right now. We still think that the best way for our shareholders to make money is through discovery, and development is something that you would consider once you've defined the limits of the mineralization, which we have not yet done. So it's a little bit too early to think about building or partnerships or things like that.
All right, makes sense. Thanks for taking us along on that long-term trajectory for this project. Perhaps we can transition to your second project in Mexico. What is that one all about?
Yeah, so this is an interesting project. This is a bigger land package that we own 100% of, 3,600 hectares, and it's in eastern Sonora, Mexico. And this is about 40 kilometers away from the biggest gold mine that's in operation there right now, which is owned by Alamos Gold. It's called Mulatos. So our property is quite large, and it's a porphyry gold copper system. Porphyry meaning disseminated style of mineralization that can tend to be quite large, and is oftentimes amenable to bulk mining. So think of very large open pits, and there's a number of these mines throughout North America that produce large quantities of copper and often gold. Along with the copper. We've drilled at this property over 12,000 meters and have made a gold discovery at the California zone targets. That's the name of our primary target. We've put 67 holes in, as I mentioned, 12,000 odd meters. Almost every single hole is hit wide widths of gold mineralization, and we do have some indications of copper on the margins. So we're very high up, we think, in the system, which means that the copper, the sulfides would be at depth. But what we found to date, it's almost similar to Tombstone in a way. It's an oxide system that might be amenable to heap leach mining. Now, our last drilling results are reported in the first quarter of last year of 2024, and since then we've done some internal modeling, and we plan to announce the next steps of this project over the next couple of months in 2025. But generally, we do plan to get back in the field soon, and we would like to get prepared for another round of drilling. Very similar to Tombstone, we have not yet defined the limits of this mineralization. So this is one that is a large potential, and we've already received a strategic investment from a company that operates the nearby Mulatos mine. That's Alamos Gold. They bought about 10% of our shares off the back of some drill results from this property. So that's a good validation of the drilling success that we've had.
All right, great. And perhaps we can dive into what the thesis is on this project. Of course, you have delineated the California zone. Should we expect this to run all over your project? What is the thesis there? What is the blue sky potential for exploring on this project?
Yes, so this is a porphyry style system. So all of those circles that we can see on this slide right here are zones that have been mapped to host porphyry copper gold potential. But to date, we've yet only drilled the California zone. So we think that the potential is to grow the California zone to the north and to the west and to the east. And then our sort of our localized exploration will focus in on some of these yet to be developed drill targets that have had, initially mapped indications of porphyry style of mineralization through limited sampling. So we want to improve our knowledge of these targets and then decide whether they should be drill tested or not. But the next drilling would likely be at the California zone and the California North zone, and then along strike east and west.
All right, then I guess we'll have to wait and see on those results to come in. To see the full potential of this project. And perhaps we can talk about your priorities between Tombstone and Cervantes. How do you view that? Where would you allocate the budget? What is the plan there?
Well, we're going to keep going with Tombstone for sure, and that's well, I shouldn't say for sure, but that's the plan right now. I mean, when you have the great results that we've had in the recent drilling and that we hope to continue to have, there's no reason to back off that. And then, subject to the market conditions, we would also like to do some field work in Cervantes while we're getting ready for the next drilling at Tombstone, and then once the next drilling at Tombstone is done, we would consider another program at Cervantes. So that would be the order for 2025.
All right, thanks for outlining that. Perhaps we can then transition towards your financial status currently. I believe you've raised about 3.8 million Canadian dollars in 2024. And
Yes.
Perhaps you can talk us through how the treasury is currently looking like.
Yeah, well, so the last reported financials, we had about 2.2 million in cash. So that was as of September 30th. So that's been depleted somewhat with the drilling program.
Maybe we can transition towards the cap table. How is that looking like? How many shares do you have outstanding, fully diluted, and maybe insider ownership as well?
Yeah, certainly. So we have about 123.7 million shares outstanding, fully diluted 165.1. We're trading around 20 Canadian cents at the moment, so around a $25 million valuation. In terms of insider ownership, it's about 12%, about 15.3 million shares. We do have analyst coverage from Red Cloud Securities, buy target with a 60 cent Canadian target price. And our big shareholders are Alamos Gold, the Euro Pacific Gold Fund, Mirmican Capital, EMA GARP Fund, AIPM Junior Mining Fund, and Concept Capital. So those are some large gold investors that have taken a strategic interest in our company over the past couple of years.
All right, thanks for that overview, Simon. And you also seem to own quite a few shares personally and have been buying recently, so that's definitely good to see. Perhaps we can end off this interview with what are you most excited for Aztec Minerals in 2025?
Well, drilling and discovery is really what gets me interested in Aztec and in the industry in general. So, I mean, that's why I'm involved in this company, is because of the potential to drill further discovery. I'm interested in grade as well, so I'm hoping that we have more of a high grade angle to the story as we continue to drill. That those two things generally get other investors interested as well. So we're very hopeful that we have quite a bit more to talk about over the coming weeks and months as we continue to drill. And that gets me in the office every day and gets me on the phone. So that plus, just in general, the silver market is it's creeping higher. It's been a pretty good run over the past 2-3 years. Very quiet, kind of a stealth accumulation mode, I think. Gold obviously has performed a little bit better, but still hasn't seen a lot of mainstream adoption, and the equities have lagged. So I think that's good. If you're new to a story, you certainly won't. I don't think anybody will be investing into this sector at a top. It's stealth. It's a stealth move. When the big money capital comes into the juniors, there can be very torquey returns. And that's also something that I'm excited about. So I think Aztec is very well positioned to benefit from any macro tailwinds that might emerge over the coming months.
All right. Thank you for taking us through that, Simon. Really appreciate it. And we'll keep our eyes open for those assay results coming in on the short term.
Oh, absolutely. Thank you so much for the opportunity to come on and chat with you today.